Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho Bryan Kohberger case. The prosecution in the Bryan Kohberger case has 60 days from the time Bryan Kohberger got arraigned for his indictment to decide whether they're going to seek the DP against Bryan Kohberger. The DP. You know what that stands for. The prosecution has 60 days to decide. And most people assume that the prosecution, which the lead prosecutor is Bill Thompson, he will seek the DP against Bryan Kohberger. But digging into his history, I've been digging into this prosecutor's history, Bill Thompson, and I'm not so sure he will seek the DP against Bryan Kohberger. Reasons being is there was 2 cases in Latah County within the last 10 years. Very high-profile, horrific crimes that occurred. And Bill Thompson did not seek the DP against these individuals. One, we'll talk about one case. 2015, the case of John Lee. Look it up. John Lee. He went on a shooting spree around Latah County. Killed multiple people. Everyone assumed that he was going to get the DP. But he didn't. He didn't. Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson did not seek the DP against John Lee. Check it out. So this is from 2016. Idaho DP on life support. John Lee sought out his victims in 3 locations: an office building, a private residence, and a fast food restaurant. KILLE'd in the melee were his landlord, David Trail, his adopted mother, Terry Grazbelski, and Moscow Arby's manager, Belinda Nybrior. Lee also left Trail's client, Michael M.M. Chin, wounded at the office building. For Idaho, that's so shocking a level of homicide that it borders on the unique. Most of Idaho's murder cases involved a single victim. If there are more, the violence is limited to 1 or 2 crime scenes. Had Lee's crimes occurred 20 years ago or more, Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson probably would have sought the DP. The community would have just insisted. But Friday, Thompson took capital punishment off the table. So this is the prosecutor in Bryan Kohberger's case. Didn't pursue the death penalty against John Lee. Look up the case of John Lee. Lee pled guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder to avoid the DP and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Lee appealed his conviction and sentenced to former Latah County 2nd District Court Judge John Stegner, who upheld his life sentence. So, prosecutor Bill Thompson, who was prosecuting Bryan Kohberger's case, took the DP off of John Lee. John Lee pled guilty, was sentenced to life in prison, and then he went on to appeal his case, but it was upheld. What do you think? He didn't seek the DP against him. And then there was another case a couple years before that. Charles Capone. The Charles Capone case. Accused of murdering his wife. Went to trial. Was convicted. But Bill Thompson did not seek the DP against him either. This is from 2013. Latah County prosecutor Bill Thompson is not seeking the DP in the state's case against Charles Capone. He's not seeking it against Charles Capone and didn't seek it. Charles Capone eventually went to trial. He was maintaining his innocence, but was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison for murdering his wife. So, who has Bill Thompson sought the DP against? He's been a prosecutor for a few decades. He hasn't, to me, in the last, because Moscow and Latah County is a relatively safe community. We heard there wasn't, prior to the Moscow murders, murder didn't happen in like 8 years prior, something in that number. So, will Bill Thompson change his mind and decide to seek the DP under public pressure? Now, you know, I don't want to put politics into this, but he is a registered Democrat. The city of Moscow is more leaning blue than the state itself, Idaho, that is red. So will Bill Thompson seek the DP against Bryan Kohberger? His pattern in history shows no. Shows no. I mean, John Lee would be a perfect example of, you know, seeking the DP. Now, every case is different. Every case has its own different elements. The prosecution has to evaluate that. But he didn't seek that against the last two high-profile cases in Lake Tahoe County. What makes us think that he'll seek it now? Subscribe to my channel, like, hit the notification button. Let me know what you think. Will Bryan Kohberger get the DP or not? What's your thoughts on Bill Thompson, the prosecutor? We'll talk soon. Everyone stay tuned.